Oh man, Yooka-Laylee. It's rare we feel the need to cover a current game, but Yooka-Laylee's failings were too spectacular to ignore. It fails to achieve nearly everything it set out to do, in turn, simultaneously making the case for why these types of retro revival Kickstarters are such a gamble, and ultimately, why these types of games, exemplified by Banjo-Kazooie, died off in the first place. Playtonic promised a rare rival, however, it's only surface level. When you dive deeper into the nuts and bolts, pun intended, Yooka-Laylee has no idea what game it truly wants to be. I'm not sure if Playtonic were trying in vain to evolve the collectathon genre, or if they've simply forgotten how to make one in the first place. The first problem is how levels are designed. Though only 5 levels in a hub world, Yooka-Laylee is a massive game, but Playtonic makes next to no effort to make any of it engaging or fun to explore. Levels feel like a collection of small sections smashed together without nuance. This leads to entire levels vacillating between either too busy or too barren. There's certainly a lot to do, but there's never any kind of through line or attention devoted on how levels should flow. Listen, when it comes to exploring and collecting stuff in games, that is my jam. I'm here, it's me, let's do this. But if I have no idea where I'm going or where I've been, I'm not going to feel any sense of accomplishment or have confidence that I've cleared out an area of a level. So instead, I just found myself wandering aimlessly. It's as if Playtonic thought simply giving the player more places to explore automatically made exploring them fun, which, no. An easy fix for this should have been with the golden quills, which are completely misused. Upon collecting your first golden quill in the hub world, you are informed there are 200 of these in each level. This actually got me really excited. Images of pathways, cliffsides, and caves lined with quills immediately popped into my head, and why wouldn't they? This is one of the defining images of the very games Playtonic promised to be pulling inspiration from. Instead, quills are scattered far and wide, ignoring what these types of low-tier collectibles are supposed to be, breadcrumbs that subtly guide a player through a level. Imagine my surprise starting the first world and staring down 3 different possible paths, seeing just a few quills. How are there 200 of these things? Where the hell are they? To explain why this was a mistake, we need only to go back to the very games Playtonic promised to be pulling inspiration from. The giant worlds of Banjo-Kazooie and DK64, though not quite as giant as Yooka-Laylee's, are more palatable because notes and bananas respectively are used as a clever way to lead players through a level without the benefit of a map. Though Banjo-Tooie scaled back on this a bit by having notes appear in clumps, they were still used as a guiding tool. This process of elimination is not only what made these otherwise rote collectathon games satisfying, it also simplifies exploring and keeping your bearings in enormous levels. There was a lot to collect, but the act of collecting was a means to an end, not an activity solely unto itself. Though this is admittedly a problem that DK64 had. The opposite can work too. The carnage left behind in Wolfenstein 3D and Doom was not only rewarding in its own right, you could use it to discern where you've already been to better make your way through their occasionally labyrinth-like levels. The slapdash levels of Yooka-Laylee could have been easier to stomach if Playtonic had utilized the quills as a navigation tool, but instead, they are sprinkled around without regard for flow and are occasionally well hidden to a fault. Here's an example. On a hunch, I ran all the way down this path and stumbled upon a single solitary quill. When I saw this, my heart sank at the sudden realization that I am definitely going to be that person who gets 199 quills on a level and then pulls their hair out trying to search every crevice for that last quill. With so much to explore, and without the feeling of the designers meeting you halfway, collecting things in this collectathon throwback becomes a chore. Now thankfully, quills are not the sole focus of Yooka-Laylee, but still, there's not much else going on these levels. Your main task is collecting 25 pages in each level by completing various tasks and minigames, but don't worry, they fumble this as well. An extremely common minigame is, golly, I gotta get through these hoops before time runs out. Yeah, it's 2017 and Playtonic thought the big thing video games needed more of was timed hoop jumping minigames. They said they wanted to bring the N64 days back. Who'd have thought that also meant Superman 64? Grace, can you check to see if anyone else has made that joke? But at least you get a time limit with the hoops. You do not for tasks that require a power-up, like breathing fire or glowing in the dark. There's nothing fun about grabbing a power-up and rushing back over to another area before it wears off when there's no timer, no audio cues, especially when you're only just given enough time, at least in my experience. And that's if you even have the special move needed to accomplish the task. Yes, in an incredibly lazy attempt to invoke Banjo-Tooie's backtracking style, you are constantly faced with puzzles and tasks you cannot solve yet, and the game makes no attempt to inform you that you are just wasting your time. But all you have to do is simply buy the right move, but that's of course if you can tell which move you need from the list, if it's even available to you yet, or that you have enough quills to afford it. Either way, good luck trying to remember where the hell that area was. And then there's the issue with expanding levels. In an interview with Game Informer, managing editor and creative lead Gavin Price explained that they wanted to split the difference between Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, giving players the option to meta the games based on which title they liked better.
So why don't we start the worlds off small, and then as and when players feel like they've got the lay of the land and are comfortable with that, they can expand the world. If a Tooie fan wants to expand the world early on, to them they're creating a big, huge world just like they like, and a Kazooie fan, they can start the game off smaller, and then when they want to, they can expand the world and it'll feel like...
This is not made clear at all in the game and indicates that Playtonic could not make hard decisions in development. If you didn't want me to expand levels right away, then don't tell me there are 25 pages in each level. Tell me there are 15, and then tell me there are 25. If you give me a list of things to collect on each level, but tell me I can only get them all if I expand each level, guess what? I'm expanding each level the first second that I can, which I did twice before even stepping foot in levels 2 and 3. This is what I meant when I said they didn't even know what they wanted this game to be. There's an even larger problem in all this. The world just feels sterile, like I'm not really a part of it. It's not even that it would take that much to draw me in. For example, on the first level, you encounter a skeleton lady in some hot pot trouble, which was cool, got me excited. I'm all the way down to save a cool skeleton in peril. However, once I beat up the minions, she doesn't climb out of the pot or even just phase out. She just hangs there. And then around the corner, it's Shovel Knight. Like, they didn't even hide him or give him anything to do, he's just there. Oh, looks like I'm in the wrong game. Yeah, hilarious. Or how about Mr. Blowy? Yeah, Mr. Blowy, who needs water to clear his throat, but after says, great, I can get back to blowing again. But then he doesn't? Shouldn't he create an entryway to a new area, or I don't know, start blowing? Like, I want to make a difference in this world. Side quests are in and of themselves a type of collectible, and robbing me of the visceral feeling that I had accomplished something blows. Yooka-Laylee is less a collectathon and more an open world game that's composed almost solely of side mission busywork. Imagine Grand Theft Auto, but hidden packages and obstacle course minigames are the main thrust of the game, not side stuff to be done at your leisure or ignored altogether if you want. This is a massive game with tons of things to do, but ultimately a game far less than the sum of its parts. It misses the mark as a collectathon throwback, as a traditional 3D platformer, and as an open world game. The game is also obsessed with itself to the point where I just want to grab Playtonic and shake them and say, I don't care about your insecurities or whatever, I just want to play your game. I want to enjoy myself, I want to be immersed in your world, but you just won't let me in. The story is simplistic, but without any real charm, and while the occasional joke did get a chuckle out of me, some of the fourth wall breaking gags fall so hard, they practically read as confessions from a development team that had quickly lost confidence that this was a good idea in the first place, because boy, nothing says funny like having your character in your game talk about how boring it is, or how you wish you were playing a different game, or how grating the voices are. What are you doing? What are you doing? Then don't make every character in the fucking game talk like that! Like, that's not funny! Banjo and DK64 weren't Shakespeare, but they were at least confident. I'm shocked I never happened upon a jaunty talking kitchen sink saying, wow, they threw everything in this game. What ideas didn't they use? Wow! And the disappointment just keeps coming. The damn camera still bumps into the environment and abruptly snaps to new angles. It's not game breaking and maybe something they could tighten up in a patch, but geez, 20 years later and you guys still can't make a working camera? Controls feel loose too. Moving about the world just never feels as tight as it should. And it needs to be said, I hated the rolling move. You have to use it constantly, and every time I did, I hated it. It accelerates too quickly, it turns too wide, and is an absolute pain. I hated it. And I almost don't even want to bring this up because it's really subjective and a lot of people are gonna disagree, but personally found the music completely forgettable, just totally unmemorable. I mean, come on, you got Grant Kirkhope and David Wise. These guys know how to write some really tight melodies. 1.5 million for an orchestrated score, and this is it. I will say the music captures the vibe of Banjo-Kazooie. Certainly sounds like they're using the same instruments and tones. And really that's the only other positive thing I can say about Yooka-Laylee. They absolutely nailed the look and sound of those old games. The character design of Yooka and Laylee is top notch, and the levels may feel like they were designed in a rock tumbler, but this is certainly not an ugly game. But you know, I could squint my eyes and tilt my head and see how fellow Kickstarter disappointment Mighty No. 9 could have been a good game. However, Yooka-Laylee is such a bloated, sloppy, frustrating, and ultimately boring mess, I cannot see how this could have ever lived up to its forebearers. And I know it's weird to invoke Mighty No. 9, but I bring it up because I'm sensing a pattern with these massively successful Kickstarter games from storied developers. Some people like to take a cynical point of view that studios like Double Fine, Concept, and Playtonic are, quote, taking the money and running with their crowdfunding projects. We've always held that that's a bit harsh, but they are definitely showing that they cannot be trusted with the money. For the record, we've not personally backed any of these projects and don't begrudge people who genuinely feel swindled. We're sure these developers had the best of intentions. No sane person actually sets out to make a bad game. And if they did, a multi-million-dollar Kickstarter would be like a god-tier way to commit career suicide. But there are a few things to consider here. First, these people are already in the industry. They're already in the club. Crowdfunding is supposed to be for passionate outsiders trying to break into the industry. And true, many careers got their big break from campaigns that raised modest sums compared to Yooka-Laylee's millions. If publishers aren't interested in the projects career developers are pitching, maybe there's a reason. Maybe the idea is bad, or maybe you ain't what you used to be. Another thing to consider, the limitation publishers and studios push onto these career developers were ironically what made their games great in the first place. This is the game we always wanted to make, is a great pitch, but people often forget that we didn't fall in love with the unmitigated image of their creativity. We fell in love with their scrutinized, compromised final project. Creativity needs to be questioned, needs to be challenged. There's a moment in the making of featurette on The Incredibles DVD where producer John Walker is talking down director Brad Bird from a complicated shot that would be cut from the film. Walker ends the discussion with the plea that, "I'm just trying to get us across the finish line," to which Bird replies, "I'm trying to get us across the finish line in first place." I'm sure these men hated each other, but deep down they knew that their conflict was the actual mechanism the finished film would pass through. You don't get this when you only answer to fans. The internet sucks as a boss. It's a great critic, but it's a fickle mistress, and we all know that throwing nostalgia in the mix makes for a potent brew. It's a reason to be skeptical of Kickstarter games, but as the bottom seems to have fallen out of this platform, I still have hope that some upcoming projects will be able to learn from their peers and make it work. Hey, thanks for watching. If you didn't notice, hey, Stop Skeletons from Fighting t-shirts now available at fangamer.com. Make your life more radical. Can't get any more rad. Stop Skeletons Fighting t-shirts, fangamer.com. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell a friend. Spread the word. Stop Skeletons from Fighting is a Patreon supported show and would not be possible without the generosity of every one of these fine people here. If you want to support the show and help us keep going and make more videos, click the link and give what you can. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.